Well, welcome to Whispers, everybody. We have Jordan on the phone calling from the sunny shores of Florida.
I'll tell you what, Orlando is beautiful right now.
What the heck are you doing
on
in
the
a...
balcony, looking out at a fountain.
You got out of your hotel room?
Yeah, well, I'm on the balcony.
I figured you'd be doing this from the bathroom.
No, that was when I was in Columbus.
Oh, okay.
See, there's a difference between Orlando and Columbus. Orlando is hotel and balcony. Columbus is bathrooms. Sorry. You know.
The only thing Columbus has going for it, right?
Just remember, you said that. And we do have our guest already on the phone.
We do.
Yes,
Yeah,
we do. Barry called early, or called on time, actually. So,
Well, let me go ahead and say, if anybody else wants to call in and you got a question for tonight, number's 304-214-1600. You're out of the area, 866-514-1600. Nick, if you want to bring in our guest.
Well, we also want to, real quick, just say we got Dan with us helping out since you're in Florida. Yes.
Mr. Dan Snyder stepping in for us.
Hello,
What's up,
Dan.
Jordan?
How you doing, Dan?
Hanging in there.
okay.
Okay, well.
Are we ready for Barry?
Yeah. All right, we welcome Barry Fitzgerald, a veteran ghost hunter with 17 years of experience in paranormal investigating. Ghost Hunter fans will remember Season 3, he took them through Ireland looking for all kinds of different spooky things. He's also on Ghost Hunters International. If everyone watches that. Dan, I think you have a sister that told you today he's the one she loves on there.
That's her favorite one on the show.
It's the accent, I'm guessing.
It was the accent.
Yeah.
She loves to listen to him talk.
Yeah.
And
Barry, are you there?
I'm here, and I'm just thinking to myself, God, does that woman sound as if she has wonderful taste?
Yeah.
She's also a huge Star Trek fan as well.
Ah, well, sure. You know, that goes to prove it.
There you go.
Enough said.
Now, of course, also to prove it, Jordan hates Star Trek, so we should make fun of him.
No, come on. Seriously, we got to go there.
Yes, we did.
Compared to Star Trek, or to Star Wars, Star Trek holds nothing.
Star Trek.
Yeah. Who's this guy? Get him sacked.
Yeah. Hey, can you just go ahead and hang up on Jordan? So.
All right, Barry, thanks for joining us tonight. You're coming, what part of Ireland are you in?
I'm actually at an investigation in the north of Ireland at the moment.
Okay.
You're at an investigation?
Yes, I am indeed, yes.
Anything you want to divulge to us? What are you looking for?
Well, there's tales of women and other people being pinned down in their beds, and other stuff being seen, and chairs being moved around, things like that. So we're just looking into it at the moment.
Oh, sounds interesting. I don't think I'd want to be pinned down into my bed. I've never had anything like that happen to me yet. I don't know if I'd be sleeping in that bed the rest of the night.
I'm sorry for that ghost. Now, we're dubbing this our St. Patrick's Day episode, Barry, and I hope you're okay with that.
Not a problem.
Actually, in our email, we were going to have you come on next week, and your response was that there was no Irishman going to be sober enough at that time of the evening.
That would have been impossible.
That would have been an interesting show, though. Nobody would.
So, as this being our St. Patrick's Day episode, we want to talk a little bit about some of the Irish lore. The fairies, the leprechauns, where they all come from, and how it's different in our culture in the Americas than it is in Ireland.
It's actually not that different. Surprisingly, I'm just studying up on a lot of the things that the Native Americans have done, which is very, very similar to the Celtic beliefs. And in fact, with traveling with GHI, I spent time with the natives in Peru, the Zulu in South Africa, and the Maori tribe down in New Zealand, and they're experiencing the same things. So it's more a global aspect, a global look at something. But of course, the Irish have the damn leprechauns, which can be troublesome to no end. But no, we have always had connection with earth spirits and with elementals and things like that. Our druids were very, very keen people at watching the weather and being connected to that element of nature that I think in modern society we have lost the ability to do. we've got modern satellite systems that tell us the weather patterns coming, and yet, we go and we look at horses in the field, and they've got their backsides turned to the hedge. They know that bad weather's coming 24 hours ahead. We can't do that anymore. We have lost that ability as humans to connect with nature and understand what's coming and what's in front of us. And part and parcel that's because we have, I suppose, in somewhat we've come lazy with our modern amenities, electricity. We walk into a room, we immediately switch on the light. And of course, over in Ireland, it was always said that the electric light killed the ferry. But maybe not so much. It just depends where you look for it.
I know during the Ghost Hunter Season 3, you were talking about ferries, I think a ferry ring or something. And at one point, I remember this vividly. This would be one of the things I'll always remember about the show. They had the thermal camera, and they were watching, a group going through the woods, and I could not remember where the haunting was, or where the investigation was. But all of a sudden, you see these lights come up behind them, almost in a line. These red, really, just appear out of nowhere and start kind of following them, which was something that just, I don't know, gave me goosebumps. I don't know what exactly did they ever decide what that was, or it wasn't an animal because you didn't see it coming. It just all of a sudden just appeared, and I think it just appeared.
From what I understand, yes, it just seemed to appear, and in itself, farmers themselves and everything else, people who work with the land, there seems to be a particular type of understanding that leave the land alone at night. And there's certain areas that even today with modern machinery, we've got $100,000 worth of tractor and machinery being pulled behind us. And instead of just tearing up the stupid little tree in the middle of the field, which has been connected with the Fae, they'll plow around it. They won't touch it. Within modern Ireland, we still see that. We still see roads in some parts that are made around the tree, rather instead of, in the rest of the world, we'd see the tree being tore up and threw away. But there's always been tales of folks who have done that, and obviously the outcome of those decisions, which have always been told to us, generation down generation, and maybe in somewhat that has stuck, and we tend to leave things alone a lot more than most. And there are, as I said, there's certain areas. That particular area that you had mentioned, the fairy ring, was known as a wrath. And I know in America, when the fans that had seen the show, they wrote to me spelling it W-R-A-T-H. Well, leave off the W. It's just R-A-T-H. And it's believed that when man moved out, whatever these are, they moved in. And best to leave them alone. As I said, there are tales of houses being torn down and no ends of trouble. And sometimes it can be fatal on some aspects. And some of the tales and legends of people who have messed with the Fae.
See, that was a question I had because I also thought it was W-R-A-T-H. I was wondering if there was some kind of connection with, the word wrath being, anger. That was just that answers that one for me. So how exactly did you get into research on fairies? I know you're from Ireland. Is this stories that was passed down when you were growing up, or?
Yeah, it has been stories that have been passed down, and you'll always find someone who is able to talk about them. And I understand, and I can totally understand where people come from who live in a city, and have never experienced anything like this. That they would be skeptical about it. But the old you're bound to have heard of them before. The band She, known in Ireland as the Bean City. She appears and is said to cry and wail at the death of a person. And even today in the modern cities, in Belfast, within Lisburn, within Dublin, she's still heard. She's still seen. And this is within the cities. This is within the cities with the electric lights and everything else, the TVs and PlayStations and everything. She still sees, she still hears. And she's part of the Fae. They always believed that she was something else, she was a ghost or something else. But no, she is actually part of the Fae. But she got a bad rap. She was always known as the bringer of death. But it's simply the old saying, don't shoot the messenger, because that's all she was. She was just a simple messenger. She didn't bring death. She just announced it.
Now, would you say that this is all, like, would you say that they're spirits? Would you say that they're fairies? Like, what are, these entities in themselves? Like, you're talking about the Banshee. Would you say that is a fairy or a spirit, or, how would you classify that?
Yeah, the Banshee has always been known as an earth spirit. I suppose in modern terminology, she would be seen as being a fairy. But certainly should be more classified and known within the title of earth spirit.
Yep. Go ahead, Lo.
See, Barry, you're talking to some unbelievers here. Not me, but those guys. I can hear it in their voices. And, I mean, to me, fairies are as real as Nick sitting across from me. I truly believe that they exist. But I know these guys.
I'm not going to say that I'm not a non-believer, because fairies of all. When I used to think of fairies, I used to think of Tinkerbell. And I've been, and I don't mean any offense to that. I've been reading a lot more lately about other other things about fairies being more along the lines of these warrior kind of things, of these like an entire. I mean, there's a very entire structure and stuff, and I don't know if that's part of the mythology or not. And that was something I was wanting to ask. I mean, how would you describe a fairy? Does that make sense?
Well, from what you said, Tinkerbell, that is the modern misconception.
Yeah.
And certainly, from where you guys are coming from, I can understand. It reflects back on if you've never seen it, why should you believe in it?
Exactly.
But as in GH, as we've seen, there are things happening in the other ends of the light spectrum that we can't see. Some people have the ability to see it. We're not all the same. And some of the equipment that we've devised is seeing some of these things further into the light spectrum than the normal human being can see. Our animals can see it, but we can't. It was believed that we once had the best eyesight in the animal kingdom. It turned out we had one of the worst. So to think that there is nothing happening because we can't see it, is maybe a mistake on some people's parts. But reflecting back onto the Fae, what are they? They're just simply earth spirits, and that's what it comes down to. The Native Americans were aware of them. The native tribes in South America are aware of them. The Celts are aware of them. People in Switzerland or Sweden, Finland, and Norway are well aware of them, and as well as Iceland. And everybody just gets lost and does their own thing.
I know there's been a lot of reports of fairy sightings in Iceland. I was watching another show the other day where they were investigating that on
well, they're gnomes.
Truth.
They're slightly different, but of the same, meant to be of the same thing. I can't say for sure. All I can say is what's reported. I'm reading the same things as you guys are, obviously.
Sure.
Have you had a run-in with a leprechaun? I have to ask.
Only when I'm drunk.
And you go chasing after that pot of gold, I suppose.
No, she does bring up a good question. Have you ever seen any of these spirits yourself?
A leprechaun?
Or fairy or banshee.
Any earth spirit.
I have tracked the banshee, and I recorded her cry.
Oh my God.
And 2 weeks later, she found me as well to announce another death. But it's one of those things I've never seen a leprechaun, and to be honest, I really do I really do. I really do think that is an influence of liquor spirit that causes that one. But
yeah, some people see pink elephants too. So.
Well, that's true. And who am I to say? Who am I to say that they're not there?
True.
Now, you said you've recorded a banshee.
Yes.
I have. Is this online anywhere? I've got to hear this.
No, it's not online.
I would love to hear that.
I was doing some work for another show, and this was recorded. It was on a specific island off the coast of Ireland, and she was known for appearing there and announcing the death. And we were there and we tracked it, and that was that. We recorded it, and that was the story.
See, now I've always thought if I ever heard a banshee cry, I mean, it would be something that would just every nerve in your body would just stand on end. Is that kind of what? I mean,
it is a very, very different cry. Some people, I've heard people saying around the fire that, it's the scream of a woman and things like that. But truth be told, no, it's very unique. It's very different. And it's something that once you hear, you don't forget. Because as I say, 2 weeks later, I happened to be back in my hometown, and I heard the same cry, and it was the announcement of a death of someone that I'd known.
Wow.
Barry, as a ghost hunter with Ghost Hunters International, what has been your most outstanding ghost hunt that you've been on that's really just graphed you and maybe made your hair stand up or just really stuck out in your mind?
The Philippines Hospital, Clark Hospital in the Philippines. That was one that pulled on the emotional strings, and
was that the
I personally wasn't aware, because we were always taught in school about World War II and Germany and the Nazis and things. We weren't introduced to Vietnam or anything like that. It was all new to us. And for me to be there and experience those things and hear those footsteps coming, and I would say there was at least 100 at a time were coming for it. That was unbelievable. Dustin and I were literally back to back at one point. It was just unbelievable. And plus, obviously, we had the other things to worry about as well. Inside the disused lift shafts, there were 2 anaconda that were spotted. A cobra had shed its skin within the O'Hare outside, and one of our producers had been lunged at by a snake. So there was all those dangers that we were going up against as well, which made it all the more interesting.
Oh. Now, do you also develop new equipment and techniques for hunting?
Yes, we do indeed. We're continually trying to improve that. And there are very good engineers out there, one of which I'm working very diligently with to produce a new range of equipment for season 2. And it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Now, you've been all over the country, or all over the world, doing different things. And I know you mentioned Native Americans with the Earth spirits. You find that belief, around the world. You just mentioned the Philippines. You also find that belief there. Does it ring true? What you're used to in Ireland.
There is a belief system in the Philippines as well, and I know that I'm aware that the church are really trying to force their hand on that one, because of a lot of things that are happening at the moment, and I can understand their reasoning behind it. But yes, there is a lot of things that still happen in the Philippines, and Brazil. Brazil was another fantastic place. So it's a worldwide event. It's a worldwide occurrence, and it's just sometimes it's just a case of, I don't know. For me, it was enlightening whenever I finally lifted my head and said, "Okay, what else is going on around the world?" And just looked and met these people who were experiencing these things, and it was complete mind blower for me.
Hey, Go ahead, Lola. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, it seems that cultures that tend to be more spiritual in nature are the ones that have a better sense of at least communication or feeling toward things like earth spirits. Like, you know, the more basic of a culture you get down to, the more there is this hand holding kind of with, I guess, like the natural world.
It's very hard for, I mean, I don't spend that much time anymore indoor or outdoors because it seems like you're at work, you're indoors, you know, you go straight to your car, you drive home, you get indoors again. And most of the time, I mean, even here, we're in, you know, Wheeling, West Virginia, even the outdoors is almost to the point where it's indoors. I mean, almost everything's paved. We've got the buildings. And so, I mean, you have no contact. I mean,
you need to get a dog. I walk a dog every day. I see a lot of outdoors.
But I mean, even then, it's a controlled outdoors. I mean,
well,
you know,
that's true. We're not up in the hills.
Well, we plant trees in rows,
yeah.
And they usually cut down the old growth of the trees. And like he was talking about Ireland, they drive around, they pave around the trees, and that you don't find that in most places anymore. Hardly anywhere.
So, but do you own a car?
Do I own a car?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I do. I do.
So instead of waiting for nature to come to you, you could go to nature.
That is true. But I mean, even then,
I think his wife tells him the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. But even then, though, I mean, it's very controlled. I mean, because you know, the lumber yards, they, you know, cut down everything, and if it gets, you know, big enough to where you can make some money off of it, they cut it down, and you know, I mean, it'd be hard for anything like this, you know, if it exists at all, to take root. Does that make sense?
Well, out west, you still have a lot of that.
Yeah, that's true.
And I know where my son lives. He lives out in Colorado, and you get up into the mountains, and it's you don't even know that there's civilization around you. Yeah. And he's got some Native American blood in him, and I think he has a deeper spiritual self than, say, I would, you know, because I think there's that connection, that pull.
Yeah.
To Nick's credit, he does visit nature quite a lot. Just it usually just happens after dinner. That's all.
I have nothing to say to that.
Which is a good thing.
There is nothing to say to that.
Yeah, there's nothing to say to that.
See what I deal with, Barry.
Yeah.
See what I deal with.
All right, well, switching course. All right, so you know, going with Ghost Hunters International, you just talked about you're about to start season 2. Where exactly, if you can indulge or indulge. You flustered me with that comment. I'm sorry, Dan.
He needs to divulge so that we can indulge in the show.
Oh,
divulge,
clever.
Where are some of the places you're going with season 2?
Well, my bosses would say mind your own business.
Well, you know what your bosses can do. Come on. Since when did you ever do what your bosses tell you to do anyway?
I'm sorry. I wish I could.
I know.
I understand. I had to ask that. Well, season 1, you said the Philippines hospital. Where else would you say some of the places that you visited? I know one of the places I was interested in was Dracula's Castle. Did you were there, if I remember correct?
I was there, yes.
And
1,462 steps. I was there.
Oh my God!
They were just there on Amazing Race too a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, and 100-degree heat.
Oh my God!
I remember every step.
I bet you do.
Now, were you able to find anything interesting there?
No, Dracula's Castle actually was remarkably quiet, and you know it happens from time to time. No, I'm aware that he had a few other castles as well, so God knows which one he was in at the time. But he was an extremely brutal man, and I'm glad that the show in some part got that across, just how brutal he was. And some people, you know, the same as a national hero. But you know, you have to remember he did kill 10% of his own population within 7 years.
You know, he's a nice guy, yeah.
He was a delight. Yeah. One of those neighbors you tend to appreciate.
You don't take the dog to his yard, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd be banging on my door.
But the French chateau, I absolutely loved that. That was wonderful. Down in Bordeaux and South of France.
Well, yeah, you're in Bordeaux. What do you, you know? Fun
And
times were had by all, right?
I'm not a wine drinker. That was the only problem. Now put me into a place that brews whiskey. Now we're talking.
I think there's a couple places around here actually that brews whiskey, and they think they're haunted. So we could maybe hook you up with that.
I'm seeing great potential here.
Yeah.
We have a haunted penitentiary right downriver. I'm telling you, I think that's the next place, because that would be international for you.
Oh no, but no, we can't. We simply couldn't do in the U.S.
Oh.
I know Ghost Hunters did go down to penitentiary, the West Virginia penitentiary. They were down there a couple seasons. I think the season before season 2 is when they were there. So.
Yeah. I think we personally, I think we've got the better deal. We're the ones who travel international, and I like that.
I mean, there seems to be a lot more history to a lot of the places.
Oh, yeah.
The Ghost Hunters International visits. I mean, Dracula's Castle. I mean, you could never do that with the regular Ghost Hunters.
No.
I mean, it's and even as quiet as it was an extremely interesting just because of the history. I mean, the story, all that kind of stuff.
And certainly, Frankenstein's castle in Germany, its foundations were put in 900 AD. Now that's 1,000 years of history that they're trying to contend with and strip away to try and reach what there is there. And whenever it finally did reach us, it spoke to us in Old German that we didn't even know what on earth it was until the guide was able to tell us.
I was going to say something about that I think somebody else that we had on one time said that when you're dealing with really old spirits, you have to remember where they came from and what language perhaps they were speaking, because obviously they're not going to know English.
Yeah, so sometimes if you get a spirit that is locked down, it will not know anything else. And I know that a lot of fans have contacted us recently saying, why do we always speak English? Why are we not speaking in the native language anymore? Truth of the matter is, yes, we do film in the native language. And God help the editors whenever they go back and start reviewing this footage to try and put subtitles on it, because they've no idea what on earth we're saying.
Yeah.
So they just put it in the English. But we do ask our questions in the English, or in the native tongues as well as English. But the strange thing is, in that we're asking in the native tongue, and we're getting our responses back in English.
Really?
Yeah. So it's opened up a whole new hornet's nest of debate as to why this is happening. And we'll continue to work with that over season 2 and see where it brings us out. But it certainly has added another aspect to search into.
That really is strange to think.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, Barry, I got a question. We were talking about the prison that that we have here locally. We got a lot of new aspiring ghost hunters that are going to be joining us to a trip there for an investigation. Would you have any tips, ways that you do things that maybe in America we should be doing things? I know when you were on TAPS when they were in Ireland, you were talking about the respect deal and the way they were going about EVP. You kind of changed the whole outlook of it. Is there a way that you can give us some tips?
Is this a penitentiary you're going to?
Yeah.
So, no, a penitentiary, I'm not too familiar with that phrase. Is that
prison. A prison.
Right. Okay. So the prison itself then could be tricky because of the people who were held inside and who may have lost their lives in there for whatever reason. Sometimes those ones can be tricky. I would say for the team, don't let their guard down. Don't take the first thing that comes along. Question everything that comes from them, because identity is of great importance. And try and think outside the box. How, if they're aware of who was ever in the cell or whatever, or what the story is, how could they best reach that person? Get away from the mundane. What is your name? How long have you been here? Get away from that. Try and find something that will try and make that bridge much quicker. You've seen that we used the music, the Singapore theory. That created great results for us and very fast. So it's about trying to create that environment or trying to create a situation that will entice, if there is something there, will entice it to respond rather than retreat back.
Okay, now what about, I've seen so many of these shows where they really try and antagonize spirits, and I'm thinking, I'm walking in a prison. Do I really want to tell the guy, hey, bastard, come on out? Is that, should I do that? Or, should I go, hi, I'm here? I've never done this before.
Lola doesn't hold back.
No,
in other words, should we talk about their mother or not?
Yeah, there we go.
Probably not a good idea.
Okay.
But
now, would you like antagonizing? Would you use antagonizing a spirit for a response?
I do sometimes. It depends on the situation. Every case should be evaluated on its own merit.
Now, you used antagonizing in Sweden, didn't you? At the priest, the inn that was the priest.
That's right. Yes.
Outside in the.
Because we were told that whenever the electrical workers came and started to dig, that's whenever things started to happen in the house. So, from my point of view, I needed everyone in that property to think that I was going to dig up a dead baby. I had no intentions of digging up a dead baby, but I needed to make it look as if I was going to do that, to see if we were going to get a response. And there was things that happened there in Sweden that really did make us wonder what on earth was going on there. But it was good, and certainly was my first time being 30 miles from the Arctic Circle.
Wow.
That would be cold. So you go from 100 degrees at Dracula's castle to 30 miles from the Arctic Circle. It's a wonderful job, isn't it?
It is nice. The stars. I love seeing the stars, and to see it from both sides of the hemisphere is wonderful.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Now, how exactly did you get into investigating ghosts, looking for ghosts? I mean, everybody has their own personal experience that kind of kickstarts them. Is that what happened to you, or were you just interested in it?
No, I think for the majority of people, the majority of researchers, I would imagine that it probably all started from growing up in a house and experiencing some things in the property, and that's what happened to me. It was Christmas Eve, and I was going down the stairs, and this guy was coming up the stairs, and frightened the living hell clean out of me. So, of course, my immediate reaction was, "It's Santa! I'm caught." So that was that. But that was my first real experience. That led on to where I am now.
Wow. I would love to. You don't know how badly I really want to experience something. And supposedly the building that we work in here has a spirit. And it's like, I'm here by myself and I'm like begging, okay, you can come out now. We're here by ourselves. And I never see anything. I don't know if it takes a special kind of person or spirit or spirituality to make this occur, but I'm more than willing, and no one will take me up on the offer. Except watch, I'll walk in the pen and all these evil guys will be following me around, but...
Just be careful what you wish for.
I know. I have been warned that. So...
But there are sometimes, that things can happen and people go to properties and do all this stuff and then come home to find that this thing comes home with them. And trouble can start there. And it's knowing how to get rid of that, which takes a lot of experience, and how to kick it back out again.
Well, I can guarantee if one follows me home from the pen, you're my first phone call. You can at least handle it over the phone,
Oh, God, she's got my number now.
I do.
I think I'd be calling a priest first. I don't think I'd be calling, Barry Fitzgerald in Ireland, can you get on a plane? I'd be calling the local parish.
Yeah, but would they believe me? See, that's the other thing.
I thought you meant if Lola called Barry, Barry should call a priest.
Yeah, that could you'd have to exercise Lola.
Don't listen to them.
Either that or act like you're the operator or something.
He no here.
Oh man.
Hey Barry, I got another question. Nick had already brought up, calling a priest. Do you use much religious? I don't want to say provocation. Do you use any kind of religious backup in doing your investigations or afterwards to find closure to the house?
That's not my field. That's not my forte.
That's not your forte.
I know how to catch them. I know where to seek them out and everything else, and I know how to get rid of them. But the problem comes when after you get rid of them, that the people are left and in the property, and yes, their faith then should be consulted and dealt with, because certainly from someone who's going from getting attacked, and I have been involved in cases where people are literally picked up out of the bed, pinned against the wall, and horrendous things done to them. Now I'm able to shut that down. I'm able to stop that and create that wall around them. But I can't do anything about the inside. That's not my field. That belongs to a faith.
Yeah.
And they deal with that. I can only give a wall, and then the rest is up to them.
Now, how do you build the wall? I mean, how do you get rid of the spirits?
Years of experience.
Yeah.
Years of experience and working in the lab and things like that, and understanding what's going on, understanding the biological implications of what is happening and how this has been able to affect these people in the way that it does, and how to reverse that. It's very complicated, but there is a process in it that we understand, and we can reverse the heavy symptoms of this, and then what work we do then can be backed up by their faith.
Now we've spoke to a gentleman by the name of Mark Nesbitt. He runs Ghost of Gettysburg. We were talking to him about he believes that there's got to be a certain type of geology to a site that causes the spirits to stay there. He was talking about kind of like a quartz or crystal, in the ground, and that's something that's present at Gettysburg. I think he mentioned Chancellorsville, some of the other Civil War sites that he deals with. But he's also been to other sites that were just as bloody, just as much horrific things that's happened. All the other recipe or ingredients you need for a haunting, but what was missing was this kind of geological background. Is that something that you've noticed in the sites that you've investigated, or anything that you're looking at in your own research?
Not from a global aspect. Certainly from a local aspect, I can probably understand where he's coming from. But from a global one, like I've got folks who are running tests for me in Baghdad, and they're experiencing things as well. All over the world, people are working with me. There are many different things from moisture to different stone formations to geological fault lines. There are many different things that can work with a haunting, including obviously atmospheric and gravitational as well.
Have you ever investigated like a site like Stonehenge or any other site that has it's sacred to like the Druid culture, or the ancient cultures of either England or Ireland?
Excuse me. Did you say England?
I am so sorry.
What would I do
That's the end of the phone call. What did I do?
Which one do you want to sack now, Barry? The Star Trek?
He doesn't like Star Trek.
The Star Trek or the geography major?
Why did I? Yeah. Well, England or Ireland. I mentioned Stonehenge. I am so sorry.
I'm feeling pretty comfortable right now.
I meant the islands themselves. Either one. Take your pick.
There have been some sites that we've investigated and found some amazing stuff. I'm aware of research that looks at the old makeup of the old churches, in fact, and the way that the churches were constructed, and their placement over the top of the old religious sites, the old, the religion that went before Christianity, the pagan sites, and in some aspects you have a church which has been placed in a specific way on top of the old, what you call node points, where the pagans have identified these, which a lot of listeners will understand, ley lines or energy
the ley lines. And have you had any luck at find anything there?
Yeah, well, the way the church has been constructed, we walk through the entrance into the church, the old entrance. It's entrance. You're entranced once you walk into this particular facade. The rose quartz altar, which is not quarried locally, is taken from hundreds of miles away. It's placed in a specific way, and that in itself emits a low-level EMF whenever the particular forces are right. And that in itself, the altar altars can alter your perception. And in the old ways, the priests and the monks were able to make contact with, I suppose, God. And sitting in circle, we hear mediums and things and psychics saying that they're sitting in circle. That by no means is a new thing. That stems back thousands and thousands of years. In Greece, for instance, it was always seen that the way to communicate with God was in circle. And all of this, all that knowledge combined, we can start to see something. We can start to see some unusual readings that are happening from those areas. It's fascinating what those people knew back then and what we've lost now. Here in Ireland, we've got a tomb formation which, under today's construction knowledge, we couldn't do. It would be nearly impossible for us. And yet, 5,000 years ago, those guys were building it. And how on earth they've done it, we don't know. We have tombs here that I can get the keys for and go in and explore. And they were built before the Great Pyramids of Giza.
Oh my God!
Wow.
And it's just fascinating what goes on there. And the pagan community is very strong in Ireland, and also in Scotland and England. Though I wouldn't know so much about England, but it's still very strong, and they still use those sites. They're still recognised as something, as a way of connecting with the ancestors, with the nature spirit, the land itself.
Are we calling?
Yeah, we had a question. I know. I was kind of hinting around if there was any way that you could tell me how I could make myself more open, and you told me not to wish for things, I'd be careful what I wished for. But somebody called and specifically asked me to ask you, is there a way to kind of open yourself up to some form of at least communication with a spirit?
Yes.
Okay. That's it? Just yes? Damn, Barry. You're making this hard on me. Give me a hint.
This is where Nick wants him to indulge.
Yes.
There is specific food types, actually, that can promote it. Yes, food types, believe it or not, and there's food types that can hinder it. But my favourite to enhance it, certainly, is chicken and turkey. Can be very beneficial.
Really?
Because of the chemicals that's produced and the what's going on in the mind at that particular moment, and what rhythm it promotes the mind to go into, that can help that whole experience.
Huh.
I would never have guessed chicken and turkey.
Well, turkey,
I was thinking this was going to be another alcohol reference.
Yeah, I did too.
But it's washed down with the
So before our penitentiary tour, we should all stop at KFC in Benwood on the way down.
That'll be the place.
I don't know.
I
just had chicken, so now I'm really starting to rethink all that.
I'd get out of the hotel, Jordan. Well, it looks like that's all the time we have this week, Barry. It's been great talking with you,
Yes,
though.
it has. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic, folks.
We'd love to have you back on maybe in the future, so we'll have to try to keep in touch.
And I've got your
No
number.
worries.
Yeah.
You have indeed, yes.
We'll try to get the number from Lola before we leave today. So,
All right.
but it was great
No
talking
worries,
with you. Yeah.
Nice talking, Barry.
Thank you. Good luck on your investigation.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
You know,
Wow.
and I forgot to.
Well,
even ask,
what do you think?
Oh, he's so awesome. You guys were so right. You guys are. We should have asked him about his book.
That's what I was about to say. I wouldn't even get to that, and once he started talking about the different ancient sites and stuff, I was entranced, so I forgot all about it.
Yeah.
His book, and I have a link up at whispersradio.com, is Journeys.
Mhm.
He takes photos. I mean, if you click on the link there on the picture, and you'll see some of the photos he's taken of. It says here, in a world gripped by speed, I have come to welcome the slow times. These periods when you can stop, forget the past, disregard the future, and simply be there. And wonderful pictures. My favorite's the. Are you there?
Yeah.
The second one with the trees and
Yes.
kind of the fog.
Oh, this is absolutely gorgeous.
So I mean, somebody that's talking about earth spirits and getting in contact with that kind of of what we've lost, really. I mean, I think we've lost it. That wonderful
I
pictures.
agree.
So
I think maybe our culture is what's lost it, because ours is such an industrialized, let's destroy everything and build it ourselves type of culture, where you have in Ireland, England, you got all the countryside where it's just untouched. It's more preserved.
Yeah, Americans tend to always, they build, then they tear it down to build new, tear that down, and what are we stuck with? These, and then everybody's wishing, God, we should have saved the architecture, saved, the relics from the past, and we never do. It's always this effort to be bigger, better, faster, more technologically advanced than anybody else, and we're losing so much, I think, of ourselves in doing that.
You said save the architecture. I mean, it used to be a time where we'd be like, okay, we don't want to tear that forest down, but now we're getting to the point where it's like, oh, we don't want to tear down that old building because it's got a lot of history. The trees were there first,
Yeah.
And
But look at what we're doing to downtown Wheeling.
Yeah. Well, it's either tear it down or it falls
let it
down
fall
on
down
top
itself.
of you.
Yeah, we have to take those buildings down.
But there are some that it's a shame. It's really a shame. And you look at that city building. That is one of the most ugly. That is so typical of
70s.
Yeah, but institutional building.
I'm sorry.
But it is. Yellow brick, square. It just nothing.
No life to it at all.
Yeah, it's institutional.
Well, maybe that's what
They make
wanting.
nicer prisons now than our city building is.
Maybe that's what the image they're wanting to display. You do not want to come in here.
Well, they
You
should
gotta-
invite
you gotta
you.
pay
You're
your-
paying money every time you walk in the
Yeah.
door.
You pay taxes where you go to the court. What do you. So Jordan, what exactly? You're out on the balcony. You're looking out over the fountain, I think you said.
Yeah, I'm looking over a big pond with a fountain and swimming pool with a lot of very attractive ladies.
Why didn't you go
Yeah.
to the swim pool? We could have had.
Because he said it was too loud.
Oh,
All them
Yeah,
partiers.
they got music playing and stuff, and we came in to eat. So.
okay. Well, what are you doing tonight? You're not wasting your time down there, are you?
Oh, we're spending time with family. We're going out to downtown Disney,
Good.
doing a little shopping.
Good.
You got all this extra daylight now too.
See now,
Yeah.
you
I know,
wasted this-
right?
Yeah, you wasted this entire show. You never said once, I do believe in fairies or anything.
Do you believe
Well, I
in
wanted,
fairies?
I wanted to, and I wanted to break out the whole Tinkerbell thing too, because I'm in Disney. But I didn't want him to hurt me.
You hated Star Trek right at the beginning, and he wanted to get rid of you. I mean,
I know
You were
I
already
said something
on-
bad about Star Trek, and I was done for.
you didn't do what I did. I said England. I mean,
Let's face it, guys.
He's
I'm the
never
only
coming
one
back.
he really likes.
he likes Dan still. Dan's sister.
Yeah,
was-
Dan.
I chose my words carefully.
That you did. That you did.
Oh, what did I do?
Oh, my.
I alienated.
You
our
do
first
have his
ghost
phone
hunter.
number, don't you?
No, you have it. I got to get it from you.
Oh, I hope it's on there.
So Lola, you said you believe in fairies.
Do I? Yes.
Yeah, you said during the show that
Yes, I do.
You believe.
Yes, I do.
What is it that makes you believe so strong?
I just believe that there is another plane, that there is something, that there are spirits out there, fairies. It's you can take your Tinkerbell, or if you're Lord of the Rings fan, the whole fairy nation that was in that.
Well, see, now
But I believe like in earth spirits and things like that. And you can call it whatever you want. But, some of them, I don't think any of them are evil. Some are very mischievous and will play pranks and things that may not be very nice. But I just don't think that earth spirits are evil.
Well, we're gonna be talking to next week we have Dusty Smith coming up. We're gonna be talking more ghosts with her talking about Daytona Beach and all that area. But in April, I think first week in April, we have Jim Butcher, who's an author, writes a book about Harry Dresden, the Dresden Files. Have you ever heard of that? And he'll be coming on the same day he releases his new book. And he has, if you've read the books, he has fairies in that. Actually, Harry Dresden had a fairy godmother. Of course, she's not exactly nice. So, and that's the books I've been reading. Very interesting idea on the fairies. It tries to stay close to the mythology. So you'll look forward to that too. So
next
Jordan,
week, Nick, just tell the listeners to keep watch for posts.
Yeah, keep watch for the time because we're going to be on either Tuesday or Thursday, most likely Thursday, because we're being kicked out by the bars.
St. Patrick's.
We got to drink. Yeah, St. Patrick's Day. So.
Okay, international calls have lots of numbers, right?
Yes.
I got it.
Oh God, Barry, we will try to get it from her.
Oh, geez.
Okay, Jordan, we gotta go.
You gotta scoot.
Safe
All right,
travels,
everybody.
Jordan.
Until next week, we will, hopefully by next week, we will have our 2-hour show back. I don't think we're going to have any basketball games in the way. But until next time, everybody, don't be afraid, only believe.
I think we have lacrosse next week, right?
Don't do that, Jan.
All right, see ya.